We certainly had a great turnout in our rural areas, in our Trump districts, the red districts. A lot of people don't know that Maryland is a very red state. If you look at our county by
All right.
Okay, you there?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, sir. So I talked to the guy up in D.C. He wants me to continue to get some information from you, and then he's going to review that. And if he has any questions or needs you to expound upon it, you know, we can call you back.
Okay.
Back to, we left off when you were on the stairs, and you had gotten up and gone back. Your glasses were broken, and I guess you had lost your phone. Tell me, let's go back up on the steps when you were pinned down there for a minute, and Miss Byland was next to you. Tell me about that officer and what happened. Now, look, let me preface this with, I know you've watched a lot of videos, we all have, of the Capitol, so I know it's difficult to differentiate between what you saw in person and what you've seen since in videos, but try to, we have a lot of videos. I'm more interested in your personal account.
Yeah.
If you can somehow differentiate that from the video.
So what I saw with my own two eyes, so to speak, that you don't see on the video, that that's nowhere on the video that I've seen, is, and I kept going back to it, whenever we hit the ground, whenever we were pushed, she was pushed out of the tunnel, and I was kind of near the railing, and it's kind of like they all fell into me and I fell down. Kind of, that's how we all ended up there. But what you don't see is when she's laying on the ground for that 8 minutes, you know, we're like squished down there, and everything that happens for like 8 minutes, but she's already bleeding from the mouth and the nose, and she still has her color in her face, like she hasn't turned purple yet. And other than, you know, looking at her, and then like I was trapped by my leg, I could testify to the amount of pepper gas and all that, which I do think contributed to her death, obviously, that day. Of course, I'm not you know, I didn't run an autopsy on her. I can't tell you if it was the blunt force trauma mixed with the gas, you know, whatever. I mean, her being unconscious and laying on the ground had to have had an effect, you know what I'm saying, one way or the other.
Okay. And so let's go back to the time you were laying on the ground and your leg was pinned. And you said there was another guy that came along.
Yes.
Tried to help you up.
Yes. His name is Jake Lang. He's in the I think he's in DC jail. Or
you know how to spell his last name?
Yes, Lang. And if you want to look this up, I think it was back during February. I flew to DC, and they had a little rally for him outside the courthouse, and I signed an affidavit to the judge in his case, stating that he saved my life that day. What you did.
Did he eventually get you up?
Well, remember when I was telling you earlier, he come up and he was grabbing on me, but then I yelled at him, and I only had to say it once. I was like, no, you'll break my leg, because the way my leg was trapped. But I said, go save those people, and I was pointing to the other people stacked up in the crowd. And like I said earlier, because at first those people were upside down and all that, whatever the case may be, but they were still wide-eyed, you know, panicking. But by the time that this guy gets to me, Jake Lane gets to me, you can see that they're already their eyes they're losing consciousness. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah.
And so when you told him to go help the other people, then what happened?
Of course, I felt him, because you know it's tear gas and everything that's happening. He lets go of me. He hears me the first time I say it. The guy lets go of me, and I feel him go up and over to my left, and I heard him say, "You're killing them. You're killing them." And then I could tell you what happened after what I've seen on the video, but that's that's really my last of remembering what that guy said. And I didn't realize it was Jake Lang until like a year later, till I saw some video where him saying that with his hands up in a defensive posture and the pepper gas is coming down on us and stuff, and he's saying, and I remembered it like audibly. It triggered me because I heard his voice since the first time since that day. Anyway, that's how I was able to put 2 and 2 together and say, that's the guy. That's Jake Lang. Okay. And he actually, after he did that, he goes and tries to save Rosanne Byland. And this particular defendant, sir, has several movies already made about him. The Truth About January 6th. He's been a very... so you can look these movies up is what I'm getting at. And you can see all about Jake Lang. And
how did you eventually get up?
I remember when I said that, and if you can see this on some of the video, and I know you've seen all the video, but I've looked at it probably 1,000 times, and I see something new just every now and then. Take a look at the cops' faces and the crowd's faces at about this time that Luke Coffey comes up, and what they're doing is they're looking down on the ground, right? And about the time that I think that Lila Morris has hit the lady with the stick, I think the other cops pause. And I think the violence pauses in general because just for a second, because I think those cops look down and realize what just happened. Like, oh my God, what did we just do? Right? During that pause, it was when I was able to, people kind of helped me up or whatever looking at the video, but I was able to get up and stand up and kind of turn around and look and see what was happening to Rosanne. And that's when Rosanne's friend was saying they rolled her over from being on her face over to her back. And that's when her male friend, I forget his name, he was there with her that day, and that's when he starts saying, she's dead. And I'm in shock, man. I kind of step back, I look down the tunnel, I see all the cops, and I just turn around and run and lick my wounds the rest of the day. I mean, I really, literally, I'm like flushing my eyes out with water, sitting there, and I really don't see much and anything else until about 45 minutes later. Is whenever they released all that pepper gas and really cleared the terrace up there where everybody left. And it was about that time where I could see again. So I just, ran out with everybody else.
Right. Okay. And did you leave the area at that time?
Yes, sir. So I have some footage. I have, so let me back up just a second. So I had several of my phones with me that day. And I can show you, like when I leave, I'm taking footage of it. I can show you Mayor Bowser's emergency, whatever it was called, to go home. I can show you when that popped up. But I was using a different phone, right? So that phone got knocked out of my hand. And I set it for where somebody turns this phone on, it'll tell me, like iPhone setting. And I can show you where I screenshotted the phone on the Capitol thing, where it landed at the Capitol that day. And nobody ever cut that phone back on.
Okay.
And for all I know, it's got us. There's evidence. There's evidence on the phone. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
But that's your phone.
Yes. And I can show you a screenshot through Find My iPhone.
Okay. But you had one other phone with you.
Yeah, I think I had. Well, I had. Well, I'll tell you what it was, man. I had the phone that I'm not a rich person by any stretch, independent guy. So I had my expensive phone I use every day, and whenever it started getting a little hectic, I'm gonna put my phone away because I'm there basically by myself, right? I mean, I rode up there with a couple guys from Mississippi that I knew 20 years ago. We kind of just got together to ride the January 6th that day, but they were off doing their own thing, and literally I didn't want to get caught in DC without my phone. So I put my my daily phone up, and I pull out an old iPhone that I have, and that's the iPhone that gets lost that day.
Okay. Now, the guy from DC asked me to ask you about any other that you might have come across or known, any other kind of groups up there, from Antifa to...
Okay, so I'll tell you, to answer your question, is we pulled up, and I may have a picture of this lady. I think I ran across it the other day. And and just so you know, I never followed any of that stuff. Where I'm from, there's none of that kind of stuff here. I live where it's it's like 90% black, African American, Democrat. There's not any of that kind of stuff around here. So what I'm getting at is, I knew the Proud Boys existed. I knew who, of course, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, vaguely who like the 3%ers are. And the only reason I know that's because I cover the news. But I didn't know any of that. I wouldn't have known any of those people's names that day. You know what I'm saying? So when we got there, vaguely knowing who Proud Boys were, we camped out. We pulled up. We had we call a FEMA camper that we parked at, like I guess it's what's called in DC it's where people park their cars and then grab a bus or something to go to work. So we were, which happened to be within walking distance of where we were going. So we parked there, and the next morning we got up to go. There was this lady, young lady, about 35, 40, and we met her briefly. You know, like when getting out of the car, she was parked around the same area. So we always kind of started walking together. And she never said she was a member of any of those organizations, although she said she knew some of those people, right? And she was going to catch up with them later. So me personally, I lost track of her around somewhere at the Washington Monument when I first got there to listen to Trump's rally. Because my other two friends, they kind of had their own mission, and I was there, you know, I was going to cover the Trump speech, if nothing else. I figured it was going to be one of the most historic things that ever happened, so and I did. I sat there for an hour recording Trump's speech. But my point is, those people all kind of disappeared. I never saw them again. Now, the only other thing I can tell you about somebody saying that they were the Proud Boys, or looking like they were Proud Boys to me that day, and what I mean by that is they were the ones with the camo and the body armor and that kind of stuff, and all that stuff is kind of all it's weird to me, because we don't have that kind of stuff here where I'm from, right? So, you know, we don't see white guys, we don't see people dressed up in military gear going to any of that stuff. So it just, you know, it's first time in DC in a long time too, so all that. But I remember trying to interview. I did a little live stream on my walk from the monument to the Capitol. And I remember trying to do a live stream, and I asked an old man, hey, would you like to say why you're here today? And he says, I have to, no, okay, right now there's flashbangs on the step of the Capitol. And I was like, oh, and I kind of figured that was Black Lives Matter or Antifa, whoever, because we had seen that all summer long, right? And I'll be honest with you, me personally, the only violence in a million years we thought we might encounter that day was the kind of stuff that we